So over the past few years, I've created an asset that produces around $1 million in income per year for myself. And this is all before the age of 25. And just to give context, this asset that I'm speaking about is an email marketing agency with full-time employees, a lot of clients, etc. And in this video, I'm going to tell the story of how I was able to get here from literally nothing a few years ago. So when my team asked me to tell this story, I thought about it and I figured the best way to do it is to break it down into like 3 different phases, right? Because I would really say in my business journey, there was kind of 3 chapters that I had to go through. The beginner phase, the making kind of a little bit of money, thinking I'm cool shit phase, and the phase that I'm kind of in now. And if I were to describe each of these arcs in a singular word, I would say the beginner phase, the word would be definitely pain. The second phase, the word I would use is probably comfort. And then the phase that I'm in now, the word I would use is team. So let's talk about it. I even brought along the journal in which I used for the first year of my business. This book is literally filled to the brim with like journaling notes. As you guys can see, there's just pages and pages, because every night before I went to bed for the first year of my business, I always kind of journaled what I did for that day, how I felt, and laid out kind of like the plans for the following day. Of course, back then, like planning my days were a lot less sophisticated in terms of I wasn't really time blocking and segmenting my time per 30-minute chunks. But back then I still had like proper, like daily to-dos, goals and everything. So I wanted to kind of share this with you guys because I haven't read this myself for many years. But basically this book is something I always look back on for like inspiration or whatever if I feel like times are getting hard, because once you get past a certain point, everything that you perceive to be difficult is actually, it's insanely difficult, sure, but at the end of the day you chose it and your life is actually still pretty good, right? So I read this to kind of ground myself. So effectively, in this first arc of my business journey, I had pretty much the same routine on a daily basis, which was I would wake up around 8 and I would jump on my laptop and I would literally do lead scraping, lead generation, and outreach for like 4 or 5 hours. And by the time noon rolls around, I would then just spend the rest of the day either going to the gym or taking sales calls or basically doing anything else that the business needs, right? So after exactly 24 days of me doing this routine, I got my first client. And that was when really like work started picking up a little bit, in the sense of, I had to do client check-ins on a daily basis. I had to communicate with my team to make sure all of the ad campaigns were being sent out on time, right? So just to give you an idea, the page that I'm on right now is from the 6th of April, 2020. And on that day, I wrote, last week I gave myself half a week off, didn't do my routine or whatever. I think I just lacked direction, and as outreach was outsourced, by the way, I tried to outsource outreach way too early, completely fucked it up, and then this was me basically picking things back up again myself. So essentially the task to-dos list I had for the day was check enrollments, remind Hazel, who was my VA next time, about some call that I don't know what I meant by that, and $200 for next month as she needs to do all the lead gen. So that was just a little call plan. 2 p.m. call with Jaime, copywriting for emails, record looms, upload and scheduling the emails and the looms, I guess, for outreach that is, make 2 TikToks, and write a LinkedIn post. And that was it. So, create presentation for someone called Ash. Can't remember what that was about. But basically, this is what I did day to day. I wrote everything down, and now I still document it, but just more religiously on Notion. So effectively, that was phase 1, right? And the reason why I wanted to tell you this story and read that journal entry to you guys is, I don't know if that was very entertaining or whatever, but I wanted to make it very realistic, because I'm guessing 9 times out of 10, what I did back then is exactly what you're doing right now, right? And I just want to tell you that if you carry on doing it and you don't stop, And it's going to take a couple years, but you're going to get to a position where everything starts to work. So that is what I call phase one. And that is literally what I did, like day to day, in terms of waking up, outreaching for 5 hours, taking sales calls, managing clients. I did that for a whole year, right? And that got me to around 30K a month. And then from there, I was able to progress further. Now, phase two, the reason why I call this arc the comfort arc was because, like, I'll be honest, I grew up without a lot of money. You know, I've never even seen six figures at that time until I made, six figures. So I became quite content and comfortable quite easily because, think about it like this, right? I dropped out, I was 21, 22 years old, making like 150, 250K a year. I was chilling, bro. Like, I had a great time, right? I didn't spend that much money. I think I was spending maybe like 4 or 5 racks a month, tops, maybe even two, 3, I would say maybe. And I was just having a good time. I bought like 3 Rolexes. I was traveling every other month. What else does a young guy do without any responsibilities, right? So this is what I call the comfort phase. And this is the phase that I would say that I definitely stayed way too long in. Because from this phase, I progressed from making, let's say, 150K a year to about 250. And I was like, bro, not even 250 actually, like maybe like 200, 220, something like that. And I was like, damn, I really sat down with myself. I was like, shit, bro, like, yeah, this amount of money is nice, but it's nothing to write home about, number one. But also, you can't really raise a family on this, right? Like, you put 2, 3 kids through private school, poof, 250K a year disappears, right? So I was like, shit, okay, let's get back to the grind. And this is when I entered phase 3, which is the current phase that I'm in right now, which I would call the team arc. Because at that point, I kind of realized that I couldn't do all of the work by myself anymore in terms of writing the email campaigns, building out the flows, managing the design teams, etc. I had to actually build out the fulfillment team. Now, the reason why it took me so long to do so was because, I could say, yeah, like I was like honing my craft and like really mastering what I did. It's true, but I didn't need to take 2 fucking years to do that, right? So the biggest belief thing I had to overcome there was the fact that I was just scared to really outsource the client communications, client management, etc. Because in the beginning, I got all my clients through cold emails, right? And then later on, I got a lot through YouTube Organic as well. So if you guys search anything like email marketing tutorial for e-commerce or whatever on YouTube, you'll probably see my face because I have like the biggest channel for email marketing. Now, that was a huge fear of mine because I was like, shit, if someone signs up through my YouTube, they're probably going to want to work with me, right? And that fear, which is complete fucking nonsense, by the way, now I know, right? Which now I'm just like, shit, I have to build this team. And I tried to build the team and it worked fine. The clients did not care. Ego crushed, right? But anyways, so the positive thing from that was I broke a lot of limiting beliefs. I overcame the fear of, hiring, etc., and taking on like full-time employees, taking on people with salaries, because I was like, I can't imagine having like, payroll on a monthly basis and like committing to that. Oh my God, what if the company fails, right? But it's funny because now I have like over $60,000, $70,000 a month in payroll. So yeah, and I don't lose sleep over it for a second, right? So yeah, that's essentially the 3 phases. I would say the biggest advice I have for beginners, if you're in the beginner phase, aka the pain phase, just know that it's going to be fucking hard. Like, it is really, really difficult. That's why majority of people don't make it. Period. End of story. That's why majority of people aren't successful. That's why majority of people complain, etc. Right? If you're in the phase 2, the comfort phase, enjoy it, right? One of the things I always used to do was beat myself up over letting myself just like relax a little bit. And as a result, I took longer to recover from the burnout and I ended up being actually stuck in that phase for longer. So if you're in that comfort phase of making 10, 20K a month, let yourself enjoy life for a little bit, right? Before pushing on to the next phase, if you feel like that is what you need, right? But really understand that actually, 6 figures is nice, but nothing crazy. If you really want to play in the big leagues, you got to level up, right? And then in the team building phase, I would say having a lot of empathy, as well as like realizing that, you know, you don't go to school for leadership, management, or whatever. So there's gonna be a lot of fears, a lot of like limiting beliefs, a lot of just kind of like things that you're not really used to in that phase. So really understanding and being self-aware of what you're feeling versus what reality is going to be super key for you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.